Mr. President.
Meeting number 230.
So I was doing the research at home and I'd send it off to her.
That's fine. It's fine. You just like doing that.
Good beats on it right there.
You just like doing it.
You sound like you're good with a hammer. You gotta come to my house.
How many of you remember Sam Rayburn? Speaker of the House. Did you ever see the mallet he used to use to open sessions? You'd see that at like a county fair. Okay. He really enjoyed bringing that in. And I've been told that on occasion he would loan it to LBJ, and he would use it on Sunday. So let's start off with good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to meeting number 230 of TMG, the Mac Group. And I'm going to play around here with the computer a little bit. And there we go. So we've got a special presentation today. Our presenter has not shown up yet. Okay, so that means we have the suspense factor there. If the main presenter does not show up,
The old tap dances.
I've been asked to do a hand puppet show. Okay, so the way we normally start our meetings is with what I call the welcome, other people call the embarrassment. That's where we ask any new members or guests to stand up and introduce themselves. And we've got, June, do you mind? Introduce yourself, please.
I'm June Hartzell, and I came with my daughter Chris. I'm from Cleveland, and I do genealogy. I have my third computer, which is not a Mac, but the next one I guarantee will be an iPad because I love hers. And you're in luck because I'm also a puppeteer.
No problem, somebody's been calling history for years.
At the break, say hello to June. In the meantime, just give her a round of applause. All right, so the next thing then would be to round off onto our agenda and then start down our agenda. So we've got a modified agenda today. General meeting part, I've compressed down to just that half hour instead of the usual 35, 40 minutes. Then we're going to break. That break I'm going to try and keep compressed also. Give our presenter as much time as possible. After the break, he'll be doing a presentation about the products, software products that ProSoft Engineering vends. And then after that, we're going to have two raffles today. So we're going to have the regular TMG raffle at the first break, and after his presentation, there'll be another raffle. That raffle will be after he's had the opportunity to sell software at a special user group discount to you. The deal is this, okay? Two different raffles, two different sets of tickets. For the TMG raffle, you should already have your ticket. Everybody got their ticket? Members got the ticket? Okay. When we get ready to do the other raffle, you get a different ticket, and if you bought a product, you get a raffle ticket for each product that you bought. Okay. And Mark George is going to facilitate that. Okay. So just so you know, we're doing things a little bit different today. And again, his name is Gordon Bell. Now, I'm not doing that so you remember, but so I remember. Gordon Bell. So let's start in with news items. There's been a series of updates from Apple here. There we go. So, updates from Apple. An iPhoto update, 943. Safari update, 604. Digital Camera RAW compatibility update. And Thunderbolt firmware update. Now, Thunderbolt is the technology that we're going to see either succeed or fail this year. at the Consumer Electronics shows, at the National Association of Broadcaster shows, the hard drive manufacturers are rolling out Thunderbolt products, so we're going to see a lot of it. Basically, Thunderbolt is to FireWire as a 16-lane interstate highway is to a 2-lane gravel road. Okay, a lot faster way to move data from either your storage devices or your monitors and such. Okay, it's all data. The other thing that's come out, if you've got one of the newer iPhones, there's a special version of iOS update that's come out for you, and that's 6.1.4. The rest of us with iPads and iPod Touches don't have 6.1.4 yet. Okay. See, preemptive strike, answered Elton's question before he asked it. The other thing is there's been a Microsoft Office 2011 update, and it's got critical fixes in it, and that's 14.3.4. And last but not least, I know you will be shocked to hear that there's also a Flash update this month.
Happen all the time.
And so the latest version of Flash Player for the Mac is 11.7.700.169. Just the snarkiness in me has to come out. Notice Thunderbolt update 1.2, iOS update 6.1.4, Flash update 11.7.700.169. I think they need to maybe find some programmers that know what they're doing. Okay, next thing that we do, let me think. Oh, one other little piece of technology news. This has absolutely nothing to do with you, but it's important to sort of understand some of the issues that are coming down the pipe. This has to do with peer-to-peer file sharing, 3D printers, copyright, and export restrictions of weapons technology. All right, so you've got this guy down in either Texas or Tennessee, I forget which, and he created a printable handgun using a 3D printer. He then, yes, go ahead.
Ultimately, it's one that can be fired repetitively. In the past, when you fired it, you basically destroyed it. That's not the case with this.
Yeah, yeah. It's very much like it's named after the Liberator that was developed by OSS for World War II, which was a single-shot gun, but you could put another bullet in it and then fire it again.
You're going to shorten the meeting by bringing guns in?
Hmm?
You're going to shorten the meeting by bringing copies of guns in?
I don't want to know if anybody brought digital copies of guns in. So anyway, so this fella down in, I believe it's Texas, put up the CAD/CAM designs of this, so other people they don't have to create it themselves. They can just roll it out on their 3D printer. And those original designs were taken off of a website that was supposed to be like a generic library of designs. And they just absolutely refused to host anything that was related to firearms or anything like that. So he set up his own website called Digital Distributed Defense, or Defense Distributed. And he had these plans up there. Okay. Well, now, being a sensible person, he saw that a lot of people were downloading these files. There was a lot of interest in this. So instead of having them downloaded from his website, he posted them on this other website run by a fellow by the name of Kim.com from New Zealand. It's called Mega. Kim.com is the fellow that used to run Mega Upload, the one that the federal government closed down. They captured all their money and all this other good stuff. Okay, well, so now what's happened is the manufacturer, the developer of these plans, has gotten a letter from the Secretary of State of the United States indicating that the Defense Department is going to review them because they are exporting weapons technology. Well, if somebody can download a file through the internet, you can't control who's going to download or where they're going to download it from. So he has pulled those files from Mega at this point. They're not available for download. And this will be something interesting that we see go through the courts. One last thing. You know how Bill Gates has that picture of him when he was like 18, 19 years old, where he's sort of doing a Playboy pose with a 5 1/4 floppy disk, and he's been trying to get that damn thing off the internet ever since, and it's still out there. Well, those same plans that Defense Distributed put out there were downloaded more than 200,000 times before the State Department issued this order. So it's sort of like when the Politburo would tell the apparatchiks to lock up all the fax machines and the copiers when the stuff's already been duplicated.
All the horses are out of the barn.
Yeah, all the horses are out of bounds. And this stuff is already on the BitTorrent site. So it's on Pirate Bay and all the others. And the interesting thing is, as much as they do track this, it seems like most of the downloads have occurred from the country of Spain, Catalonia, which is sort of interesting. Okay, so anyway, just to sort of throw that out there, technology, powerful technology is disruptive technology, and disruptive technology ruffles a lot of feathers. Just so you're aware of that. Okay, yes?
What's the material that the 3D printer made this gun out of?
There's a variety of different 3D printers out there. The ones that most of the hobbyists have use a resin material, as opposed, there are 3D printers that actually will print using a metal compound.
Metal milling.
But these are plastic. Yes, Bill?
Okay, we can, I think, expect an update to Mountain Lion from 10.8.3 to 10.84 this week or next week anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a small update. It is, I think it helps transition the next big update to whatever that's going to be after a worldwide developer conference.
Do we have any developers in the room today? Okay. Apple does this little thing every year, the Worldwide Developer Conference. And so they put the tickets on sale and they sold out in less than 20 minutes. Okay, and these are tickets that are like $1,200, $1,400, full developer tickets. 20 minutes they sold out. Before, they used to have to like give them away to people. So just sort of factor that away if you're looking at your stock portfolio and you're sort of thinking, Apple's dying and maybe I should just sell it off. Well, there still seems to be a little bit of interest in that company. Yes, Mr.
Just a quickie there.
Yep.
Those updates, do all of them come down through the Apple software update location?
The ones that come through Apple Update or the App Store would be these. The iPhoto Update 643, the Digital Camera Update, Safari, and Thunderbolt. The rest of them, the Flash, you would go into your system preferences and click on the Flash extension that's in there, and click on the Advanced tab, and then download it from there. With Microsoft Office, you would launch a Microsoft Office application, doesn't matter which one, go to the Help menu, pull down Check for Updates. Then once it comes up and tells you there's an update and you're downloading it, then you have to quit out of the program that you had open. Because it can't install if you're running it. Yes, Mr. Baldwin?
Speaking of Microsoft updates and Office, Microsoft is ending support, I believe ended it in April for Office 2008 for Mac. So if you're an Office 2008 user, you can expect no more updates from Redmond.
Okay. There's one other update that isn't showing up on my machine because I don't have that program installed, and that's another program from Apple called Aperture. So Aperture is to iPhoto. It's sort of like it's meant for professional photographers. So that is another update that's up there. One other thing, I'm going to go back to like news for just a second. There is not going to be an Adobe Creative Suite 7. Adobe is going to an all-cloud model, which would mean that you pay money either to subscribe to that software or you pay every time you use it. So we're going to see what happens with that one. I don't know if this is going to fly with the creative community.
Well, if you're a big user of Adobe apps, it probably will not cost you any more, perhaps a little bit less. If you were purchasing the suites, one of the suites, and you have Photoshop and InDesign and Acrobat and all this other stuff, it probably will not be a financial hit. The people who will wind up paying more will be probably a lot of the folks sitting here looking at me right now who maybe have one of the Adobe apps, let's say Photoshop, and purchase it, install it, and then hold on to it for years in many cases without purchasing an upgrade because they don't need to because the software does what they want. People in that situation are going to wind up paying a fee per month to be able to use the software because you will not own it in the way that you have in the past.
Even the old software that you already had?
No, the old software won't be affected. This will be for the new
Okay.
software. So if you've got CS3 or CS4 on your machine, no, that's not affected.
You can
But
still
if you
buy
want to-
CS6 in a box.
Yeah.
And own that. So
Yeah.
it's just not.
You'll be good with that. But the
Not
thing
for
I
long.
want you to consider is, all right, security implications. You're running an advertising agency. This is an ad campaign that you want to make sure it appears as fresh and brand new, that it doesn't get leaked. All of a sudden, your files don't just reside on your device in your office, but they also reside on somebody's server. So, these are the sort of issues I like you to sort of contemplate.
Yes.
We've already seen this in the past as Quicken, with its Intuit software, was moving from you buy the application and you have it on your personal computer, as opposed to your data is up on their website.
Well, there was some interesting speculation that with this change, which a lot of people probably will not like, that it may finally bring some competition to some of these areas where Adobe has been very close to a monopoly. Photoshop comes to mind immediately. There are some alternatives out there, but perhaps with this change, new life will come to these things, or other competitors will come to the field. Also, there are online editing options for people, Pixlr and things like that that have been getting more use and more popularity, which is one of the things driving Adobe in this direction. So,
Are they going to actually put the files up on, or are they just going to be running the apps from the cloud?
My understanding is going to have a storage capability so that regardless of what device you're on, you can then access that data.
Because with FileMaker, you do that online, we pay a subscription, and then at the end of your subscription, if you haven't renewed it, it goes bust.
Yeah.
But our files don't go anywhere.
Yeah, but the program actually exists on your server.
Right.
Where with the cloud thing, everything's up on their server. If their server is down, you don't use that software.
no.
Well, that's not
No,
exactly
no.
true.
No. You will have it installed on your machine. You will be able to run the software offline, but you have to validate once every so
Okay.
often.
So they're not
It's
doing
once a
the
month.
Office
It's
360.
once a month and every 99 days for people with paying the top dollar.
Okay.
So if you don't have internet connectivity, you will still be able to use your Adobe apps. But if enough time goes by and you haven't validated, you're off, on your photo assignment in farthest Africa or whatever, and you can't validate, then it's going to go dead on you.
So this is more like an extension of what they were doing with Adobe Air,
Yeah.
as opposed to what Google does with Google
Now,
Drive.
just think how much professional photographers are going to hate that.
Yeah.
People who spend time in remote places where internet connectivity is either sometimes or not at all, they are going to loathe that.
Yeah.
Sounds like a big boom for Creative Suite 6.
Yeah. So anyway, just, these are some of the things that I like you to be aware of, to see what some of the trends are. I'm still, I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I like to have the application on my device where if I have internet connection or not, I've got access to it, and I like to keep my financials on my own storage units. not on
Amen,
somebody
preach it,
else's.
brother.
Mhm.
I said amen, preach it, brother.
Okay. All right, so moving away from that, did we have anybody bring in stuff that they're selling today?
Well, now that you've asked, over on the table over there, I've got a network router as well as a wireless access point and antenna. And then the third item is a older 80C KVM switch.
Okay.
So see me after the break if you're interested in either one.
Okay, raise your hand just so they see where you are. Okay, see him at the break if you're interested in any of those three items. There's also some brochures and other things that are on that table. Those are free. Everybody's already looked at their raffle stuff, right? Okay. Help desk. Anybody have any problems this month?
I've got something. I've got something hitting my firewall. I don't know what it is, but it's. I've scanned my drive. Doesn't find anything. But as soon as I turn my firewall, or as soon as I unblock everything, I get this repetitive strike to my firewall coming from my drive, and don't know what it is.
Okay. One of the things you might want to look at, there's an application called Little Snitch, and it does run in a demo mode. And Little Snitch will tell you exactly what is trying to connect to what.
Is this
And
on
where
your
it's trying to connect on the internet.
Sometimes it's just an IP address and there's no information.
Yeah. But it'll at least tell you what activity,
What happens?
process on your machine is
Yeah,
trying
what
to
happens is it takes focus off of whatever window I'm in, and so I might be typing away, and all of a sudden, it just stops because focus is on something else now.
Okay.
So,
Have you used Activity Manager to just sort of vet what is running on your?
no.
There's a program that comes with your Mac, and again, we're talking Mac right now, we're not talking iPad. And that program is called Activity Manager. And Activity Manager is found in your hard drive, inside Applications, inside the Utilities folder.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure. In your hard drive, inside your Applications folder, there's another folder called Utilities. Inside Utilities is Activity Manager. Monitor, excuse me. And this is what Activity Monitor looks like. So you can watch and see how your CPU is being used, system memory, disk activity, disk usage, and network. So if you're running a computer and you don't have any internet browsers going and you don't have any Adobe apps, all those things that call home, and you see that it's doing a lot of network activity, that would indicate that you have something else running that's trying to get out there. So here we're seeing that, yeah, okay. Nice little picture showing me what's going on. Packets in, packets out. Now I have a web browser running right now. But this would give you an idea of what's running out there on your computer in terms of processes. Yes?
Quick question there. I've had diehard Mac types say that you don't need to have any antivirus software of any kind. Is that your recommendation, or what do you do?
What do I do? My recommendation, this is the stuff I tell my mother-in-law, okay? She treats me very well, but I know if I give her bad advice, I'm going to pay for it like the rest of my life. So what I tell Martha is, you want to have an antivirus program on your Mac, all right? You want to have one of the free ones. The two that I recommend right now would be from Sophos. There's a free antivirus program you can get from them through the Apple App Store. The other one is iAntivirus, which is from Symantec, again, from the Apple App Store. The one that I prefer right now is iAntivirus because I do a lot of Facebook stuff, and it also will scan my Facebook account for bad links that I don't want to have accessing my Facebook.
Is that I as in a single letter I or
Right.
EYE?
iAntivirus.
Without the clan.
There's a free open source antivirus program called Command Line Antivirus for Mailers, CLAM. Their ClamX AV is available from the Apple App Store. That's not my favorite right now, mainly because my mother-in-law is not an Uber geek, so I like to keep it simple for her. Same thing with the computers at home. My wife is not an Uber geek. I like to keep it simple so they know what they need to have running on their computer so they can manage it themselves. Okay, and that's sort of the philosophy that I always follow with folks. If you're not into terminal on a Mac, you really want to keep it nice and simple. And yet you still want to be protected. Yes?
If Dan wants to go a little bit deep, there's also a program called Wireshark, which is a packet sniffer, which will tell all of what's going on. You'll have to figure out what it means, but it lets you see your network.
If you're running a business and you're afraid that somebody might be trying to compromise customer accounts, that kind of stuff.
Coming from the inside out, though.
Yeah.
It's hitting my firewall, trying to get out.
Yeah, but if it's trying to get out, it's trying to talk to something.
Yeah.
So what information is it trying to send to that other thing? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're running a business, then you want to have a network security professional come in and put in a NIDS, a network intrusion detection system. Yes?
Are there web crawlers that are out collecting website information, running around that might be trying to do this?
There's a small company called Google and another one called Yahoo. Seriously, no. They use web crawlers that are constantly out there collecting information about websites. In the same way that when the Google Maps people are rolling down, they got their hands slapped in Europe. I think it was 30 million euros, 45 million euros they got fined because they were also looking for unsecured wireless access points. But there they were doing that so that they could more accurately position where they were and be able to. Yeah. Yes?
On the iPhone voicemail delete function, once you put a couple of voicemails in there to delete, it won't come up as delete. I just noticed that with the latest update on iOS. I don't know if anybody else is having a problem being able to delete voicemail messages.
Okay. I haven't seen a particular fix for that. Usually what I recommend is that you do a reset of the phone, and that usually will clear out that stuff, and you're starting fresh again.
Total reboot of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. It still comes up as not being able to delete any voicemail messages.
Ooh.
Permanently delete. You can delete it.
Yeah, but they
it puts
come
it
back.
in the delete folder.
Yeah.
And then the only thing you can do is undelete it. Then come up says clear all.
Okay, that one I don't know about. I know some people, I don't have an iPhone, but I know some people who really know their stuff about iPhones. So let me just make a quick note about that. And that's your email deletions?
Right voicemail deletion.
Okay.
What iPhone does he use from home?
Which iPhone, which iOS? iPhone 4?
Yeah, no, the 23, 6.1.3, I think.
6.1.3, okay.
Since
And he's having problems deleting the voicemail?
Yeah, they keep coming back.
Okay. I just deleted a bunch and I'll just clear all. Can he upgrade to the latest version? Mine's gone. I'm not sure about it.
What version are you running now?
Latest version.
614?
It's just an like an iPhone.
Check your phone and see if it is showing you an update to 614.
I did, and so
Okay. That one I don't have an answer for you, but I got it on my iPad and it's also on my iMac. I'm doing
I just didn't know if anybody
iCloud.
else.
Say that again?
I just didn't know if anybody else.
Anybody else going one, going two? Where are we at time? Yep, 10:31. I'm going to say let's start our raffle. Okay, Mr. Curtin.
Well, club members have your ticket. If you don't have a ticket, that's it.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Gotta come and get it.
Did he say he was a 613?
Yeah.
An iPhone 4S. It's a 613.
Okay. While we're getting ready for the raffle, I just want to remind you, if you have used inkjet printer cartridges, rather than just toss them out, if you bring them to the meetings, we pass them on to one of our members, and she recycles them, and it generates a little bit of revenue for her daycare center. So again, if you have used inkjet printer cartridges, rather than just toss them out, bring them to the meetings, we pass them on to Bonnie. All right, now I got to put, we're going to use the last three digits. So I have 499.
Today we have a presentation from Gordon Bell from ProSoft Engineering. He's kind of making a circuit. He started out in Indianapolis, went to Cincinnati, Columbus, came here. He's going to make a presentation of all their products. You want questions during the presentation? So, okay, just, if you have questions about a certain thing, just throw your hand up. We'll go ahead and get started. Gordon?
Okay, thank you. So as you mentioned, I definitely like questions because if it's just me here talking, it's going to get boring for me and for you. A lot of times the question you might have, everyone around you has the exact same question, but they're afraid to hold their hand up. So please, the more questions, the better it is. It could be about what we're talking about or even just general stuff. Just quick, who here has heard of ProSoft Engineering before? Okay, so not even half of you. The reality is you're all using some products of ProSoft, and I'll get into that when I go over our software group. I'll start off with the Data Rescue Center. Anyone here ever have a hard drive crash before? Okay. So your hard drives, unless you're running what they call an SSD drive, your hard drive is inside the computer, has every single thing on there that's in the computer. All the pictures, the videos, all those things. So it's a very, very important piece to that computer. Anything else you can replace keyboard, you can replace this, that. You can't replace the data that's on that hard drive. So that's what we do. We have two companies, one's software-based and one's a physical hardware-based service that help either improve your experience on a Mac or help you get or not lose the data that's on those hard drives. So we started the Data Rescue Center a couple years back. Someone asked me, where are we located? We're not local. We are in California, in Livermore. Anyone here ever heard of Livermore or been in Livermore? Wow.
Been there.
Surprised how many people have been there. So it's not a really big town, but not too small either. Just outside what they historically call the Bay Area or Silicon Valley. And that's our new facility. Oops, sorry. That's our new facility. We just purchased this about 2 years ago. It was an empty, fairly new warehouse. We built it inside from scratch based on our needs. I'll show you a quick video. Don't worry about hearing what they talk about. I just want to have that video. It's about 20 seconds long. It shows you a few unique things that we have. And once the video is over, I'll touch over those real quick.
Rescue Center is dedicated to bringing you the very best hard drive.
This is a view from our lobby. That's the clean room on the side there.
At a fair price. We're headquartered in Livermore, California, in a state-of-the-art facility boasting an ISO 5.
That's a special clean room for hard drive opening.
UL-listed vault, as well as many other extensive security features. The Data Rescue Center facility sets a new standard in the industry for customer data security, unmatched by any other competitors.
So a few of the things that they showed there was, first off, the clean room. Who here has heard of a clean room before? Okay, most folks. It's a very unique environment. It's much like a surgical center. Super, super clean in there. We're not worried about viruses in that room. We're more worried about dust particles. Because when you open up these hard drives, anyone ever seen the inside of a hard drive, how they look? You have those glass platters. They look like CDs almost, round, very shiny. Those things are spinning around, sometimes 8,000, 10,000 RPMs. That's spinning around 8,000 times a minute when it's accessing data from that. So it's spinning around super, super fast. And what's reading it, much like a record needle, is what they call the heads of the drive. And it's floating over it in a tiny, tiny, tiny amount of air between the two. So when you open up those hard drives to make the necessary repairs to them, it has to be in a clean room environment. Because if you get any dust particles onto that platter, it's going to score into the platter, almost like a record has those grooves, and it's going to ruin the data on the drive. So that's why it has to have that very unique clean room environment. Industry standard is class 100. That means 100 particles in a measured space. Our newer facility, we can actually get down to class 10, which is 10 times cleaner than it needs to be. There's no requirement for that, but with the newer technology they have for clean rooms, we can get down to that. The other thing we have unique to us is class 2 vault. It's about the size of this whole area here. And we store all hard drives in the vault if they're not actively being worked on. We do some work for military, we do some work for financial institutions and so forth. And should their drive ever leave our facility on an accident, meaning we got broken into or something, they have a lot of fines and a lot of different issues they would have with that. So because of that, we have this class 2 vault right there in our facility. Yeah, question?
Have you ever recovered data from a hard drive that somebody has pounded a nail through the platters?
No, yeah. So there's different ways of protecting the data on your hard drive from ever being recovered. One of them is a nail, a hammer, just breaking those glass platters. Nobody's going to get it back. So it's totally fine. I mean, assuming the glass platters are all broken, no one's ever going to get it back. With that said, if you gave that to FBI CART program, they might spend a year of looking through a microscope to try to piece things back, spend 10,000 man hours on it, and they might be able to get some data back in that scenario. But in the real world, there'll be millions of dollars worth of recovery time. And so you don't have to worry. If it's your own personal drive, no one's going to do that work. For the most part, even a 3-pass wipe of the data on the drive is totally fine. You're not going to get data back from that either.
Lauren, can you handle DoD classified, like secret TS hard drives?
Yes. Yeah. We're across the street from Lawrence Livermore National Labs. The folks that put in our Class 2 vault, same ones that put in the Class 2 vaults at Lawrence Livermore Labs. So we do some stuff that's super high security. We actually have a clean bench inside of our vault. So for super high security jobs, we can actually do the recovery inside the vault. So the drive never leaves the vault. Extensive 24-hour security. We have 24 above and below grid cameras. The entire place is covered by security, primarily for the government stuff that we do. But hey, you know what? If you're an end user, you know that your hard drive is actually a lot safer with us than it is anywhere else. So we have those facility features. Here's some quick pictures. This is our Class 10 clean room. This is looking at it from our lobby. You can't quite see it here, but there's 2 panes of glass, and there's an air through the two panes, and it goes through the register and back up through the ceiling. We have 24 filtration units on the ceiling. Each filtration unit has a filter. It's about $600 times 24. You can see why there's a cost involved with the recovery. There's a three-stage clean room. Over here off camera is where they get gowned. They put all the gowns on. You can see they're covered in special footwear, special headwear, all that stuff. This secondary room after this door is where they pass the drives through this special pass-through door. They clean them off in that secondary chamber, and then they bring them into the clean room. I always tell people these chairs look really kind of cheapy. There's about $1,000 each because it's all surgical grade metals, and then also the plastic and the foam is non-gassing, and it also is completely static grounded as well. So static and dust are the things we care about in that clean room. So here's some of the technicians, what they wear. A lot of times if you Google, hard drive recovery or clean room, you'll see a person with their hair out. A lot of times they don't have a mask on, their gloves are not there. They have a little bench, almost like a sharper image, clean air filter right above their situation. It's not a clean room. Manufacturers don't recommend that, nor would they certify them to do the work. From head to toe, even the flooring is specifically grounded for non-static. So a very unique environment. Any questions on that? Anything at all jumps out to you? Yeah?
Well, it's not exactly what you're discussing, but I'm kind of curious and just more want knowledge, and you would probably have this. Eventually, we're all going to be going to solid state drives. How does the recovery process differ on something that has less moving parts,
Right.
And as well as just the dust factor and all that?
Right, so solid state drives. So hard drives that are in the clean room are your standard hard drives, the ones that are spinning around. Solid state drives are definitely becoming more popular. You don't need to recover them in a clean room because there's no spinning, there's no moving parts. How soon are we all going to be on solid state drives? Well, they spent probably $400 million last year on building new facilities in Asia to make more spinning hard drives and more factories to make those spinning hard drives. So it's going to be a long time before we fully move over to that. They're actually spending lots more on production of those spinning hard drives than they do on SSD drives. And some of the newer technologies are kind of a hybrid. Hybrid drives are part solid state, part rotational.
Right.
That's kind of maybe where it's moving towards. But if you have a solid state drive, you send it to us. We see them every week. We get a solid state drive in. They don't need to go into the clean room because you don't have to worry about that dust. Inside of a solid state drive, instead of these spinning disks, you just have a bank of memory chips, sometimes up to 64 nowadays, and eventually that'll be more. So we have 64 chips. Well, the recovery process is to take each chip off, unsolder it, image it, and now you have in essence a 64 drive RAID. And a controller chip, every single controller chip spits the data out onto those chips differently. So you have a 64 drive RAID in essence. And it's a bigger nightmare to recover from solid state than it is from a regular rotational drive. So solid state is actually a little bit more expensive. So if you send the drive to us, recovery in this type of situation ranges between $500 to about $1,200. So it's expensive, but that's about half of what our competitors charge. Solid state drives are even more expensive than that because of the amount of time it takes to recover them. Like I said, solid state is, I run solid state in my laptop. It's much faster boot up times, access times. The problem is, should you have a problem with it, much more expensive to recover. A good question.
Define RAID for me.
RAID is, there's different types of RAID, but RAID is you have multiple drives that are working in conjunction with each other. Sometimes it's a mirror RAID, meaning this drive is going to copy and be an exact clone of this other one. Other times data is put on this one and shared over here. It could be striped. There's different levels of RAID. Sometimes you might buy a drive, and it's a bigger looking drive that sits on your desktop, you plug it in, and in reality inside you don't realize, wow, there's two hard drives in there, and they're put together in a way that it makes it look like a terabyte drive, but it's really two 500 gigs that are working in conjunction with each other. So that's what a RAID is. It's just, I forget the acronym.
The R in RAID is redundant.
It's
Redundant array of inexpensive.
Redundant array.
yeah, inexpensive devices, right? Yeah. Redundant array of inexpensive devices.
There's controversy about what it actually stands for.
Okay. So, but yeah, the RAIDs are, most home users aren't using a RAID by choice. A lot of times it's someone sends a drive to us, they don't realize, oh, there's two drives in there, RAIDed together. But most home users are just using one single drive, unless they have a high capacity enclosure, which there's multiple drives in there. Okay, so a little bit more in here. Here's a picture of the vault. So much like a bank vault, 4,000-pound door, dual locks. There's a day door, and to get through the day door, you need biometric access. And that door is closed every single night, all weekend long. All hard drives are stored in there at all times if they're not actively being worked on by a technician. We also have pentafluorothane fire suppression system, so it's the next level past halon. And we're very, very secure, very, very unique facility. Some of the awards we've gotten, Best of Silicon Valley, Best of the East Bay, which is where we're at, Best of the Northern California. Some of the reviews we've done, Bill Nye the Science Guy, we did a recovery for them. They had an episode completely on hard drive that they just got done shooting and they lost it. And we recovered it pretty quickly. So, any questions about that service? Yeah?
Are you going to discuss any the techniques that they use to recover the data? I mean, do you take the hard drives apart? Or?
Yeah, so when a hard drive comes in, they do what they call an inventory of the drive. They put it into a case, open a case. That takes about 15-20 minutes. They take pictures of everything on the drive, cables included, the box that's shipped in and so forth, to make sure that we keep good control over that. And then they do some additional checks. Eventually it gets checked into a machine we call the Nucleus One. It's a machine we designed ourselves. And these machines are all based on what they call PC3000 from a company called Ace Labs. These PCI cards, they're about $15,000 each. There are about 4 of them. And you pay an extra $1,500 a year for updated ROM support. So as brand new hard drives come out with new firmware, well, every year you have support for those. So it's an expensive continuing cost for that. And these PCI cards, in essence, tell the technicians what's bad, whether it's a PCB issue or a motor issue or a crashed heads issue. And at that point, we go out and we determine, okay, so for instance, this person here might have a 500 gigabyte Western Digital drive made in Malaysia, and it's crashed heads. The person right next to him might have what looks like the same drive, 500 gig Western Digital made in Malaysia, and the recovery cost could vary by $200 to $300. And the reason why is because there's firmware differences. And the first person that's a less expensive recovery might be a drive that we have in stock. We have 5,000 drives in stock as a pick and pull for parts. We might have that part in stock. Or we can get it for very cheap on the market. The other person might have what looks like, to a layman, hey, it's the same drive, it's 500 gig Western Digital. Isn't it the same? Well, it's not, because it's different firmware. And that drive might be very hard to find. It might be an Apple OEM drive that's kind of been tweaked. It might be a drive that Dell used firmware for maybe a week on those drives. Something makes it very unique and hard to find, and those parts costs can range and change quite a bit. At that point, they take a good donor part, put it onto the drive. For heads, sometimes that works. Sometimes it crashes those heads again. You have to buy another part, crash it again. We try 3 times. At one point, the idea is to get the drive up and running and spinning again to where we can copy data from it to a lab drive. And then we get that data, and the tools will tell exactly how many sectors were copied correctly and so forth. So we have an idea of, okay, we got 99% of this recovery is good. There's 1% was bad sectors and so forth. And then we put that good data onto another drive for the customer, ship them their old drive minus that donor part. We take the donor part back off, because that donor part can sometimes cost $200-300. What they really want is their data onto a new drive. The new drives, do you have micro centers out here close by, or Fry's Electronics? You can buy, even Sam's Club and Costco, you can buy a 2 gig drive for $60-70 now, I think. Excuse me, 2 terabyte drive for $60-70 nowadays, it seems. So the cost of the drive is not the value, it's the cost of the data. Any other questions about that service? Yeah?
Just in terms of price, I mean, is it, I've got a drive that I can no longer access. I don't know if it's crashed heads, roll electronics, motor, whatever. You know, okay, I want to send it to you. You said the price varies. How does it vary? What is it a function of how much you succeed in recovering? Or
So,
is it, here's a drive, we'll do our best, it'll be at least this much?
Right. So you've tried, Disk Utility does not see your drive, right?
Hypothetically.
Okay. So Disk Utility and Data Rescue don't see the drive, and you send it to us. We do a diagnosis for free. We want people to understand, hey, the price range is going to be between $500 to $1,200. So hopefully they don't send it to us and have us do all this diagnosis for them, and then they're expecting $99. That's not going to happen. But basically, it gets to us. We determine what's wrong, what's the part cost, and then we quote the customer. They say, hey, you know what? I don't need it. I found a backup. We ship it back at no cost for them. If they move forward with it, it can really depend. Firmware issues and PCB issues tend to be on the lower scale, the $500 to $700 range. The higher scale is the crash heads because of costs and manpower. But it's hard to tell exactly what your issue is until they hook it up to those diagnoses.
You can't guarantee you're going to be able to recover any significant.
Yeah, so let's say your quote comes out to be $1,000. That $1,000 is based on 100% recovery. So after the recovery portion, and you can tell us, hey, I'm really looking for these special, pictures of my wedding and et cetera. After the recovery, we can determine, hey, you know what? It looks like 100% recopied, so it's $1,000. If it shows only 80% recopied, it would only be $800. And we can actually go through and make sure that we found those exact things that you were looking for originally. So you don't pay the full.
So then you not only have sector level recovery, you're going to go ahead and rebuild it back up to recovery at file system level so that I can get files back that I can.
Yeah, we can preview the files, look at them and make sure before we send it back to you, hey, if you were only worried about these specific files, we want to make sure we got them for you before we pay for it. Yeah. So yeah, it's prorated based on recovery. Usually it's 100%. Less than that is fairly rare. Yes?
So you can hit crash heads pretty well then.
Crash heads, I mean, so when we do a recovery, you usually get 100%, but there's many recoveries that are unrecoverable. Okay. Meaning there's a lot of times when the drive comes in, we cannot recover. Nobody can recover it because of the situation it's in.
Yeah, that's my question. About what percentage are unrecoverable that you can't do anything with?
Yeah, so that's something a lot of our competitors post on their website. We have an X amount recovery rate. They're all lying. Reality is usually probably about 60-65%. Most of them will say 90+%. That's all a lie. We know that because we know the market. We also, a lot of times, their technicians now work for us, and they say, yeah, that's not even close to being realistic. So we don't post anything on our website, but realistically, it's about 60-70%. So it doesn't make you feel good if you're one of the ones that can't be recovered. So I tell people, hey, it's free to get a diagnosis. There's no cost for that. Set it in. We'll check to see if you're, in a situation that's recoverable. The hardest phone calls is calling a customer that, maybe the 2 days before we're crying, literally crying, hey, I need to get this back no matter what. I'll pay you whatever. And to tell them, hey, you know what? No matter what you were to offer us, there's no way we can get this back. That's tough phone call to make. Those customers are fairly crushed by that. So that's why it's important to back up. Backup's the key. Any other questions about Data Rescue Center?
So you said that you do a free diagnosis.
Correct.
So let's say you do the drive, you find that the data is unrecoverable. So then you wouldn't charge the customer at all?
Right.
Or,
yeah. So once we determine that the drive's unrecoverable, we either ship it back to the customer, or sometimes the customer asks us, well, I don't want it back. So we'll actually, either if it's possible, we'll wipe the drive and use it for parts in a recycling environment. But usually we ship it back to the customer. There's no charge. Yeah?
Do you keep data on what drives are most successful or unsuccessful?
No, as far as what drives your, yeah, a lot of people ask us, well, what drives do you recommend? I'm not one of the recovery engineers. Keep in mind, we see mostly, if you work in a transmission shop, you're going to see a lot of Fords, Dodges, and Chevrolets. You're not going to see a lot of Fiats. There's not a lot of them on the road. Mostly what we see are the higher selling product that's out there, Western Digital and Seagate. From a technician standpoint, they tend to like the Toshiba, the Fujitsu, the smaller brands because they're easier to work on, easier to find parts. Doesn't necessarily mean they run better or are more, are less likely to fail. It just means from a technician standpoint, they're easier for them to work on. So.
Didn't know whether you translated that information or transmitted that information to manufacturers.
Do we do that? No. No. We're a small process. They already know. They have groups of people that look at their drives, failure rates, and so forth. They, to be honest, they probably wouldn't even listen to us about that. They definitely are trying to look at. There's something in engineering. There's three things. There's reliability, low cost, and speed. And you can have two of those. That's all you get, two. You can't have all three. So drive manufacturers are choosing low cost and speed because you can market that easily. Hey, this is a $75 product and it's 7,200 RPM. You can't market reliability as easily. And all of them are marketing on price. So that's why, they used to have a lifetime warranty, then it became a 5-year warranty, then it became a 3-year warranty, then a 1-year warranty, sometimes 90-day warranty. There's, similar to back in the day of those really heavy, televisions. Now they're real tiny, thin LCDs or plasmas. Well, guess what? From a recycling standpoint, if you run the recycling, you'd probably rather have those 1970s TV. There's a lot of metal in those. Today's stuff, it's thin metal paper almost, which is good for the environment, but these things tend to wear out faster. So that's the reality. A lot of people will ask me, hey, what brand do you recommend? I say the cheapest you can get so you can buy two. Because you want to back up, for sure. And the best way is to have two. Okay. I will jump over to the software group, ProSoft Engineering. Started in 1985. This is the company that makes stuff that you already use. Same exact location, same offices. We have some folks like myself that kind of share responsibilities for both companies, and then other people that just work in Data Rescue Center. The recovery technicians, those people are only Data Rescue Center employees. Marketing, accounting, shipping is all shared between both ProSoft and Data Rescue Center. As I mentioned, ProSoft's been around since 1985. You are all using ProSoft software in some capacity. The reason why, we've been doing this for a long time. We used to write software for Apple and a lot of big companies. You can see there's probably about 100 that are on that list. If you ever plugged anything via SCSI or USB or even FireWire, and remember you used to get those device drivers? They come up floppy and then maybe a CD later on. Those device drivers, that's what ProSoft used to do. We used to do engineering for hire. Who here remembers Drive Setup? Anyone? Drive Setup? It's now called Disk Utility, but back in the OS 7, 8, 9 days, it used to be called Drive Setup. Okay, we sold that to Apple, and as well as all the plug-and-play stuff. We had a mass library of those things. We sold that to Apple. We sold the burning technology used in iTunes, the CD burning, sold that off to Apple, and a few other things, some password stuff as well. So you're all using our code in some essence. You can find our products at Otherworld Computing, Fry's, Amazon, Office Max, as well as directly from us. Before I look into the products, I talk about the ProSoft Advantage because this is really key. A lot of times you don't realize with the internet nowadays, a lot of companies They look great. They have a nice looking website. The product seems to get some great reviews, and a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of it's fake. What I compete with now is Russian, Chinese, and Indian-made software. I don't compete with Discord anymore. I don't compete with Tectile. I compete with Russian, Chinese, and Indian-made software because with the internet marketplace, they are able to make websites. They're great. They're all in English. A lot of times they don't give you an address, and you can connect with them via email or even a chat, but you don't physically know where they're located, and you don't realize, oh, sometimes there's one of them, Disk Drill. This is one that we compete with for data rescue. They have a Texas address at the bottom of their website. You would never guess, oh, they're Texas, okay, great. If you do a Google search on that address, you'll see that there's about 10 other companies use that exact same address. What these companies that are based overseas do is they're able to buy an address, a forwarding address or a P.O. box, but usually it's a forwarding address. You can buy virtual offices now. If I wanted to, I could list 100 locations in the United States for Data Rescue Center, but we don't do that. But these other companies, what they're doing is they're trying to pass themselves off as American companies. And the reason why, well, what does it matter if I buy from a Chinese company, right? What we see is some of these companies that are based overseas, they grab whatever award logo they want, post it on their website, say they won that award. They didn't. We've caught numerous ones that have done that. Bring it to the magazine's attention, they can't do anything about it. They're not going to take a company in China to court in China over trademark issues. It's not going to happen. Or, so a lot of the times we compete with people that are, also in India. Some of the companies we compete with, an average wage in India is between $50 to $100 a month. So what they're able to do is hire about 40, 50 people to blog about their product, to tell people how great their product is, to go and review it all over the place. Because if that person, for every person that they have doing that, they're making $50 to $100 a month salary. If they can talk one person into buying it, guess what? That pays for their salary for the whole month. We can't compete with that. So we have a small support group. They're based right here in our California office. They care about the product as much as all of us at the company do. So it's very good. We don't pay for reviews. We don't pay people to blog about our stuff, any of that stuff. So that's something that's changed with the internet. So beware. Always try to find out as much as you can about the company you're buying from. Do they have their address on the website? Great. That's the first step. Make sure it's a real legit address, but try to find out as much as you can about the companies before you buy. We've been around for a long, long time. We've seen a drastic change, drastic shift. We're the only product that they sell at the Apple stores for this type of recovery. But in that, anyone here use the App Store? Okay, so that's one that you'll see the same thing, where you see a lot of fake reviews. People that, oh, this person reviewed the exact same stuff as this other person. They all gave them 5 stars. They're paid reviewers, in essence. So there's a lot of different ways that they can kind of manage their reviews and manage their star ratings in the App Store. Okay, so Data Rescue 3, this is our flagship product. It's the one people most know us from. We call it do-it-yourself data recovery software. This is if you have a hard drive crash. And it's not a physical crash where platters are problematic or the motor is problematic. It is, you know what, I deleted something by accident, or the directory on the hard drive is now so corrupted that it can't figure itself out. I get this kind of, screen here with a question mark screen. Anyone have that happen to them? Yeah. It happens because the computer becomes confused at one point. The directory on your hard drive is much like a directory at the mall. The store directory at the mall tells you, hey, this store's over here, this store's over there, this store's over here. Well, your hard drive has a directory on it, and it has hundreds of thousands of files that it's trying to figure out. And at the same time, it's writing new ones and erasing old ones. And at some point in time, regardless of how well you try to protect your computer, at some point in time, it starts becoming corrupted to the point that at one point you get this kind of screen where you can't get any past it. That's when you use Data Rescue. It's a $100 product. You bring it to a computer shop, a lot of times they're using it or something like it. They might charge you more than that. So this is a great product to have on hand. If you own it, I always say, go ahead and install it. Because another way people lose data is they accidentally delete something. And if you delete something, you can just start the application up. You don't have to install it. Start the application up, scan the drive that you deleted, and recover to another drive. Yeah?
What was the name of the app that did that?
Data rescue.
That's the name of the app.
I can't.
Software, that's the software you.
Correct, yeah.
apply.
Yep. Data Rescue 3. Yep. Available from Amazon, available from Apple, as well as from us directly. It's $99. We have a version in the Mac App Store. Don't buy it. The reason why, Apple changed the App Store rules. So when Apple's App Store came out for your computer, not the iTunes, but the App Store for the computer, they had a rule in there that no applications could have this low-level access. And for Angry Birds and those kind of things, it doesn't matter. They don't need it. But for Data Rescue and Drive Genius and these utility products, it's crucial. So what we had to do is make a special version of our product that didn't have that low-level access. And that meant at the time we could only talk to external drives. Because in the operating system, you never needed that low-level access to talk to those external drives. So we made a cheaper version of the product. It's a $50 product, and it only worked on external drives. It was called Data Rescue External Drive Recovery. That was okay. We had some customers confused. They thought it would work on the internal drive, even though the description said it didn't. But it was actually one of the top-selling apps, top 25 grossing apps in the App Store. And then when Snow Leopard came out, the OS team decided, hey, we're going to make this change. Let's make it now, if you want to talk to an external drive, you're going to need low-level access. Well, they didn't realize that the App Store had this rule over here. And the App Store people didn't realize that this change was coming. So when it brought to their attention, they're like, uh-oh, it was too late. So the changes in Snow Leopard is now if you want to talk to those external drives, you need low-level access. That meant that all these people that bought from the App Store, now their product didn't work anymore. There's nothing we as a company can do about it. That's still today. The products won't work with external drives, nor have they ever worked with internal drives. So they kind of alienated hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of users there. So it's tough. That's why I say, stay away from the App Store, because Apple has shown that they can change the rules and you're left hanging with products that don't work. So we take care of our customers that bought that. We have ways to, get them up to the full version and so forth, but just be aware that when Apple controls that environment, they can also change things that affects you negatively. So I always recommend buy it from us directly. If not from us directly, you can buy it from store.apple.com, where they'll ship you a physical copy, or Amazon, or Office Match, wherever. Because those products are they work with internal drives, external drives, they're completely compatible with all that stuff. So Data Rescue, of course, 64-bit. We support anyone running anything before 10.4.11 in here? If you do, don't be afraid to raise your hand. But we have products that work down even past that. Yeah. Okay.
How many systems?
So we have some other products that work all the way down to OS 7 and 8 for Data Rescue. If you ever needed that, you can always contact us.
Actually, some of your stuff still works with OS 6.
Yeah.
Was that a matter runs on or understands
Runs
all
on.
systems?
Yeah, runs on, yeah.
The latter would be very important. Even
yeah, we run on Data Rescue. It's Data Rescue Legacy. It's an older product that we can run on 7, even 6.
How about Data Rescue PC?
You're bringing up the PC word here. Yeah, Data Rescue PC. It's a product that boots any Windows-based machine, can recover the Windows stuff, does not recover Mac stuff.
does this run as an application or does it run as something that boots and
Okay.
runs on the machine?
So the question is, does it run as an application or something that boots? It does both. So if you're trying to recover an internal drive, a secondary drive, you just start the application from your main computer. If you're trying to recover something from that main computer, you don't want to install it if it's a deleted file, because you might install it right over the deleted file, nor if it's a crashed internal drive, you can't boot from it, so you need to boot from something else. So we have instructions on our website of how to make your own bootable keychain drive or external drive. This is how the product looks. These are awards we actually did win. You can just take them from the websites. You can look through and find them on our website. We actually will either link back or tell you what article we got written up which month and year. Any questions about Data Rescue, how the product works? Yeah?
How's the product come? CD, DVD?
When you buy it from us directly, you get 2 download links. You get a application download link, and you get a bootable DVD download link. Apple changes the rules, changes things around, so Apple hasn't updated that bootable DVD link, that bootable DVD image, about 2.5 years now. They'll never update it anymore. What that means is you have a machine that's from June, I think 2011 or newer. They don't want you to be able to boot from a DVD anymore. They don't like that. So now what they want you to do is instead go to Lion, recovery mode, and in essence boot from an external drive. So it's a few extra steps. When you're panicking, it's like, oh, I gotta do this now. Reality is booting from an external drive versus a DVD that has a boot image is much better from a drive. It's faster, more robust. So we have the instructions on how to do that. We do still include the boot DVD. So if you have an older machine, you can boot from that fine. But for most newer machines, past 2 years and newer, there's different ways to boot that machine instead.
Can a thumb drive serve as a boot drive?
Correct. Yep. You have to have usually about a 16 gig thumb drive will do it. And we have the instructions right on our website how to do it. Yeah.
You're assuming you're putting the thumb drive or the DVD into the computer that's broken. It's got the crashed drive. Will it work that way?
Yes. Yeah. So when you insert a bootable thumb drive into a bad laptop or bad whatever, you can boot from that thumb drive. And at that point, it just it uses the memory on the computer board for itself, but then it looks at that hard drive just as an external, almost not external, but just as a secondary HFS plus volume. It just sees it as, oh, there's the hard drive over there, and it can scan it and copy other files to another drive. Okay, what other questions? Any other questions about Data Rescue? I'll jump forward to Drive Genius. So this is not quite our flagship product, but a lot of people know us just from this product. Has a lot of features. Maintain, manage, and optimize your hard drive. You'll see here, it's hard to read. It says used by Apple at the Genius bar. They've been doing that for about 5 years now. One of the things that I like to talk about is the defrag function. Who here has heard that you don't need to defrag your Mac drives? Right?
Not for me, they don't.
Yeah. So I like to ask that because I go back and say, used by Apple at the Genius bar for 5 years to defrag drives. Apple's been doing it for a long time. A lot of times on the internet, people will go back, oh, you don't need a defrag your drive. OS 10 will optimize things. And you can see, oh, it's optimizing, something's going on. It will optimize files, or defrag files, under 20 megabytes in size. 10 years ago, that was a big number. 20 megabytes is nothing nowadays. Your iPhoto library, just pictures in general can be bigger than that. Movies, all that kind of stuff. If you have iLife 08, you have a 320 megabyte video of a snowman on your computer. It's one of the tutorial videos. That's over the 20 meg threshold. It can be scattered all throughout that drive. So OS 10 won't touch the file if it's over 20 megabytes. Also, it won't compact all the files down to one contiguous block, so the files can be spread out. Drive Genius and Enhanced Defrag will do those things. It'll defrag the files that are over that 20 meg threshold and also compact them down. Who here is running SSD? Couple. Okay. I run SSD myself. We don't recommend defragging hard drive. That's SSD. You're not going to see any speed boost. With that said, I argue you're not going to do any damage to it. People say, oh, what about the write cycle? I'm limited to so many write cycles. In reality, you're never going to hit that threshold. You'll have moved on to a new SSD before you ever reach that. One of the good things if you accidentally did defrag your SSD drive is you're making all those files contiguous and recovering files from a crashed hard drive. A lot easier to recover a file that's contiguous than not contiguous. If the file is chopped up into 500 pieces like some of the files can be, we're not going to get it back. And that's one of the good things, you know, of either defragging or taking care of it in that respect. But I still don't say defrag your drive if it's SSD. If you have a rotational drive, anyone here ever defrag their drive? Okay. Drive Genius allows you to see how fragmented your drive is. For the average home user, maybe every 6 to 8 months, maybe once a year you need to defrag it. For someone that's done high-end photography or video work, they defrag maybe monthly because of the amount of fragmentation that occurs. Yeah.
What is your licensing in terms of, if I buy a copy of it, can I then use it on all my machines?
Licensing. He's already jumping ahead to buy it, so that's good to hear. Licensing, the products that we sell, and the specials that I have, it's a license for you and your family, anyone in your household. So if you own 6 Macs between everyone in your family, you're covered. If you own 2, you're covered. Now that doesn't mean you can bring it to your work machine and give it out to everyone else there because they're friends, they're almost like family. It doesn't really cover that. But yeah, any amount you have at your house, you're covered.
Yeah, I've seen utility software be per machine, which gets ridiculous pretty quick.
Yeah, no, we cover it. We cover all the stuff you have. Probably the best feature of Drive Pulse, of Drive Genius, is Drive Pulse. The reason why I say it's the best feature is this is the feature that will save your butt in a lot of situations. It is early warning system for drive failure. It does different tests. It does a smart test, it does catalog and directory integrity checking. It checks for fragmentation, it checks for the amount of space, it checks for a lot of different things your Mac doesn't check for. It does in the background. It does one test once a day, takes about 10 seconds, and it only does that test when you're not using the computer. You're not typing, not moving the mouse, nothing's going on. If you're typing the whole day, it won't do it. When you take a break and go grab a quick drink, oh, I need to do that quick test once. It'll do it. You're never going to see it. It's all, you know, it's not going to slow the machine down. Does another test, takes about a minute, and it does that test once a week, only once a week. And the same things are true. It won't do it if you're running, if you're working on the computer. It runs in the background. It does another test once a month. That takes a little bit longer, runs in the background, won't slow anything down because it will run if you're actively working on the computer. But what happens is, this thing's working in the background, you'll never know it's going, but then all of a sudden at one point, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you'll get a little notification that says, hey, this is wrong with your drive. You know, these tests that we're doing, it's been passing and exhibiting no issues, but now, today, it didn't pass this one test. And here's what we recommend. Might have found numerous bad blocks to a threshold where we say, you know what, it's time to replace your drive because you have X amount of bad blocks. Or do a repair through Disk Utility or Drive Genius, do a repair or defrag or one of these things. It'll warn you ahead of time because if you're not warned ahead of time, it keeps going through. Maybe 3 months later, it actually will physically crash. And then it's a bigger problem. So it's an early warning system. Yeah.
I use you both your products here, and I've had a case where it came up with Drive Pulse.
Yeah.
Told me that the drive was going to be failing. Replaced the drive, sent it out to the manufacturer because it was still in a warranty. They replaced it.
Yeah.
Brought it back.
What's the bad blocks then? You remember what it was?
I don't remember. Yeah. The computer was working fine, but it kept telling me, you got a problem here.
Yeah.
And
drive manufacturers don't like this product.
Yeah, it's one of the new terabyte 2.5-inch drives. Back when they first started coming out.
So it probably would have gone for a few months later without any issues and then really been a big problem for you. So drive manufacturers don't like this because they'll tell you, oh, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Take care of it right now.
Yeah.
And being cynical, I'd say, you know, a lot of times they're going to hope, hey, let it go through and, you know, hopefully get past the warranty period and then fail on it.
Yeah.
We're going to tell you ahead of time as soon as we figure it out. Yeah.
Just a comment, you know, you've got a brand new drive in the machine, but as they reduce the warranty periods, it becomes a narrow window when you want to get something replaced. And this sort of product, putting it on your brand new machine, brand new drive, it saved me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Replacing drives that are getting ready to fail, and you're just about to go outside of that 30-day window.
Right, exactly.
I saw when my daughter and son-in-law got a new MacBook Pro for Christmas. This was the first thing that I put on there because they're 1,200 miles away.
Indianapolis user group I was at a couple days ago asked, I have a daughter who's going to college and I'm getting her a new machine. And there's one of the products you recommend I set her up with, what would it be? I said, well, number one, make sure she's backing up. Number two, the most important thing I talked about today is drive pulse. Because it is going to save people. It saved me in the past. It'll save you from issues that if you're not alerted to them, they become a big issue. And it becomes an all-day pulling your hair out issue. Whereas drive pulse is like, oh, okay, let me swap a drive out, clone it, and there you're done. There's no problem. You can take care of it. Yeah.
Does this work on the internal drive as well as external drives?
Yeah, it works on both internal and external drives, correct. Yeah.
So this would probably pick up, drive pulse would probably pick up errors before disk utility?
Yeah, disk utility is not checking for any of the stuff that we're checking for. Yeah. We're doing, we understand what disk utility checks for. Remember we wrote that? And we're checking for all things that they're not checking for. Disk utility is doing a very, like, you know, when you rent a car, you do a walkthrough, oh, let's check for stuff. You just, oh, it looks fine to me. You sign it here. That's what disk utility does. We're going through and we're doing diagnostic. We're hooking things up to the engine, making sure, you know, compression's correct. We're doing a much different thing than the disk utility does. Yeah.
What exactly is disk utility doing when it says drive repair or drive validation? Not the permissions, but the actual drive repair.
That's repairing directory issues.
It's not finding these issues you're talking about here.
No, and it doesn't check for those things. It can do repair if you tell it to do repair, but it's not checking all these different things that we're checking for.
Oh, but you can click on disk repair and it does do some repair.
Yes, it does the repair of the drive, but it doesn't do all the. It repairs if you ask it to, but Drive Pulse also checks a lot of things that repair and disk utility don't check for.
Disk utility also can find problems that it cannot fix, and will tell you, hey, you need to check into a third-party utility to fix this because I can't fix it.
Right.
So, which is always a wonderful and frustrating experience.
I wonder when you should use drive repair on disk utility. I use disk utility for a lot of other things, and I wondered when you should use drive repair button.
So the good is if you have Drive Pulse running, it'll tell you when to use it. You don't need to use it unless it tells you. If you don't have Drive Pulse running, it's one of those things that you would get into a situation with your hard drive that you're going to kind of, if you're running fine, you're not going to use repair. So repair is needed. It's a reactionary feature. Yeah.
Pulse doing any check malware that affects your hardware?
Is Drive Pulse checking for malware? No, not currently. No, we don't check any of that stuff.
None of that or any viruses?
No, we don't check for viruses. No, there's good and bad. Some of the virus stuff can bog down your machine. Some of the virus protection stuff can bog down, slow down. So we're staying out of that for now. We're looking at other things to help determine different things, but we're staying out of that. That's a whole different type thing. So this is just physical issues and logical issues with the hard drive. Yep.
You list RAID support. Does it have out network storage devices?
I forget the answer to that. I don't remember. Come see me afterwards. I'll text somebody and find out. I forget. Yeah.
Okay, I've got 3 external hard drives just for my music that are all back up, because I don't ever want to lose any of my music.
Okay. So there's 3 of them.
There's 3 of them.
They all have different stuff on them.
No, they all have the same.
They're all 3 of the exact. Okay.
So can Drive Pulse, if I've got one of the externals attached, can Drive Pulse go and do the same thing, or is it just going to be for the internal back?
Drive Pulse will check any drives that are attached to the machine.
Okay.
So if you have the internal, of course, it'll check that, and any externals you plug in. So if you have only one of those plugged in, the other 2 are not being checked.
Exactly. That'll help.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this checks my time machine and so forth.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Does it support other file systems beyond OS X? I mean, a DOS format drive, for example, is universal.
DOS for yeah. If you're running a DOS,
But I can see the drive pulse could talk to a drive.
Right.
Even if it were Linux drive, at least we can talk to the hardware.
Uh,
Conceivably.
It'll do some checks, and it'll do the smart test, and it should do some additional testing, but I don't think it will check for
I recognize it couldn't mess with the data on the
No.
disk because it wouldn't know the file system.
Right. Yeah.
Conceivably could test file integrity or disk drive integrity.
Physical integrity, but not logical integrity. Yeah.
Okay, many of us have more than just an Apple, we have a PC.
Uh-huh.
So what is, this is just for an Apple?
This is just for Mac.
So do you make something for a PC?
Not currently. We're looking at adding these features to a PC product down the road, but currently, no, we don't.
Okay, what about, since he was talking about additional drives, what about thumb drive? Will it then check that thumb drive?
Yeah, thumb drives are almost always going to be a PC format when you buy them, unless you
So you have to have it in the Mac format?
No, there's different things. We can still check for different integrity, for hardware integrity, but not the logical software portion integrity of the drive. Yep.
How about wireless devices attached to the Mac? Look at those.
That gets back to the networks attached. I don't believe so, no. Especially not smart. Smart won't go through wireless. Yeah?
In your Drive Genius preferences, you've got the choice it says when a tool completes, notify me by email.
Right.
Does that work with the Drive Pulse? If you get an error on, say, your daughter's
Correct.
computer at college, it will email you.
Whatever email address you put in there, yeah. Yep.
So you can notify them in case they're not paying
In case
attention.
they're being college kids and not paying attention. No. So those are the new features and improved features for Drive Genius 3. And here's the additional features that are also still part of Drive Genius 3. Out of these, my favorite is Drive Slim. So anyone running an SSD, that becomes more important. Defrag is not as important for you. Drive Slim is important. Drive Slim is a way to identify files you may not need on the drive. For instance, duplicates. You might have duplicates all over the drive. You know, you downloaded something, it's in your downloads folder, and then you saved it off to another folder, and you emailed it, and now it's another email folder. You might have 3 or 4 versions of the exact same file. We'll actually remove them, keep the original one, and put aliases where the additional copies are at. Large file search, that's my favorite, because it's kind of fun to do. You can use the slider to determine what you determine is a large slider. Maybe it's 20 megabytes, 40 megabytes. You can start seeing these huge files you have on your machine. If you have GarageBand or iLife, you have some huge files there. Even if you don't use it, you have a lot of tutorial stuff. You can get rid of all that stuff. Just like you can get rid of languages and all that kind of stuff. So DriveSim can free up a few hundred megabytes to a few gigabytes of data that you don't need anymore. It's a unique thing there too. This is how the tool arena looks, similar to Drive Genius. As you click the green arrow, it zooms around to the other list of tools. Those are what we won. I'm going to kind of speed along here because we're running a little bit short. Data backup. This is our backup utility. It's a $50 product. Has the exact same feature that Time Machine has, plus a lot of other features. So the way I do my backups are at work, I have a Time Machine backup. For me, primarily that is, hey, if I delete something, Time Machine has a real cool go back in time interface. I can undelete stuff real quick and easy. But at home, I have a full clone backup. Because if you, anyone here ever tried to restore an entire computer from Time Machine backup? Nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Takes forever. So by having a clone using data backup, you can make a clone and incrementally back up to it. You can start up from that clone within 2-3 minutes. Reboot, plugged in the drive, you're back up and running. Time Machine backup, you're going to take a day to get back to that state. Yeah?
Is the clone on data backup 3 different than the clone as part of Genius 3?
Is the clone, yes. We do have a clone feature on Drive Genius 3, right here. You can't do anything other than hit the button that clones the whole drive. The reason why we have that is because before you defrag your drive or you're having some kind of issue, we want to hit that button, clone the whole thing. Okay? And so one click, there's no options, you clone it. the clone and data backup is, you know what, like the way I do my clone is I clone it today, and then every day or every week, it's going to incrementally back up the new things to that clone. Okay? And it's just scheduled to do that, whether it's on a monthly basis, weekly basis. Yeah.
Is the Drive Genius clone a file level clone?
It's
or
a byte by byte, sector by sector, device clone. So it's not meant to be a, hey, I'm going to use this as my backup tool. It is, I want an exact copy of this drive before I do something to it. Right. Yep.
Do you know how it compares to carbon copy cloner?
Carbon copy cloner has some of that functionality, but we have a lot of different things, synchronization, different stuff that carbon copy cloner doesn't. Yep.
What level of encryption do you support?
What's that?
What level of encryption do you support?
I forget.
Is AES, do you
We have it on our website. I can find it out. I forget the, there's a few different encryption methods we offer actually. Clicks, this is like data rescue just for your digital camera cards, the little CF cards or the SD cards. Those, like a hard drive, can go bad, or you can delete something and you know, oh my gosh, I need that back. Clicks is a $20 product, so if that's all you need, it can do that. And it has a little bit different user interface. It's easier for that. Just little thumbnails of all the videos and pictures from that card. I tell people, your digital camera media cards are almost like they're like a parking lot. You go to a wedding, take 200 pictures, you fill up every single parking spot, you format the card, you wipe it clean, delete it all, and then from that point on, you're taking 10 pictures at a time, reformatting 10 pictures. Well, when we run clicks, we can find the most recent 10 pictures you deleted, but then we're going to find pictures from that wedding from way back when, because you never wrote those over. When you reformat, basically telling you know what, start parking pictures in space 1 again. That's why a lot of times when you run clicks or data rescue, you can see, well, it's got this stuff from my weekend last month, but it's got stuff from way back, a wedding or something, when you took a lot of pictures, because those are on parts of the card you haven't written over yet, because you haven't taken that many pictures on that same card in one contiguous shoot. Sound Bunny, this is a quick to understand product. It allows you to change the volume settings for any application that's open. This is important for applications that don't have a volume slider. iTunes has a volume slider. So you know what? The Flash player and runs in Safari. You know, you turn on, you're watching stuff and internet's going. All of a sudden, an ad comes up really loud. You can either mute that so they don't come on at all, or you can taper them down a little bit. So all the applications that are open, you can slow that. You can bring that down a little bit. Yeah.
Does that include the startup sound that your Mac makes when you shut it down? And you
No,
start
there's
it up?
something, Apple protects some of the sounds, like mail application, it's sandbox, we can't affect that. The startup sound is not, we can't.
Because I live close to a cemetery, I'm getting constant complaints from when I start making.
If you push the mute button before you shut it down,
Yeah.
it'll turn off the startup chime when you restart it.
You know, I knew that a while back, and I tried it over and over, and it's not doing it anymore.
Not just turn the volume down, hit the actual mute button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I'll try that, thank you.
As everyone should have, does everyone have a raffle ticket? Everyone does, right? Okay, so you get one. Anyone that buys any products, you get another one. We have a bundle. If you buy the bundle, you get one raffle ticket for every bundle, every product that's in the bundle. So keep that in mind. You get a choice of colors. Whoever the winner is, don't rub it in everyone else, but you get to pick what color you like. So I'll do that in a short bit here. As I mentioned, our products are available at Amazon, Office Max, Other World Computing. Data Rescue is $99 for Data Rescue, $99 for Drive Genius. Data Backup's a $50 product. Sound Bunny's $10. Clicks is $20. I don't compete with them. I don't undersell them unless I'm at a mug. Then they don't give me such a hard time. So the mug pricing is 25% off of any of those products. So Data Rescue would be $75. Drive Genius would be $75, and down the list. But to make it easy for me, we do a special mug bundle, and that is all those 5 products for $99. Everything we own, everything we produce from Mac, $99. We ship it to you. There's no shipping charge. You don't pay tax because they're shipping. I'm just taking your order here. I'm not giving you anything. And you get, if you do the bundle, you get 5 raffle tickets. I'll leave that up there. That's it for me. If you want to take any of the products, you want to buy any of them, just raise your hand. I'll be passing out the order forms, and then I'll be on the side, probably up here. Bring them up to me. Questions, bring them up to me. And thank you guys very much.
Don't go away yet. Don't go away yet. You know, I do a lot of presentations, and I've had my fill of folders and binders and clocks and everything else. So what we'd like to give you is something that's local to Dayton. This lady, Esther Price, when her husband died, she knew how to make candy. This is back in the Great Depression as opposed to the Great Recession. And that's how she fed her family and kept her house. They've increased a little bit since then, but this is some of the best candy that you're going to find in Southwest Ohio.
You don't realize I'm a chocolate fanatic. So.
Okay, so then we picked well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have you been to your facility in Livermore?
Have what?
Have you been to the Livermore Labs?
Have I been there? I work there every day.
How many times have you gone down to Tesla Road and out to either Wendy or Concannon for lunch?
Concannon just got, we've been there for a while. Concannon's completely changed. They got bought out. So now they have a huge restaurant and tasting room. It's much different than what you remember.
How about Wendy?
Wendy's always the same, yeah. Wendy's golf course and wine tasting. We're right, closer to us is Las Positas Golf Club. And they have a little cafeteria for golfers, but everyone that's there is the lab, which is great.
If you can ever get into Livermore Lab for lunch, they make a great sandwich. Just get them and go down and buy a bottle of wine at Wendy and sit out there in the shade of that.
I'll bring the chocolates.
The Puzzle Palace is a much better delicatessen.
Thank you guys very much. So just raise your hand if you want one of these orders, and I'll pass them along.